So recently, my local Safeway installed these metal people cages at the front of the store. I instantly knew what they were, a barrier made to create a single entry and exit point in order to deter shoplifting. Like a door, even though grocery stores already have doors. But I was disappointed to see these at my local store. They're so inconvenient and they make for an awkward experience when you think they're going to open a lot quicker than they actually do, and they kind of hit you a little bit. One actually attacked my fiance. Attacked her. Was the theft in my neighborhood really bad enough to warrant these precautions? Well, probably. But then they got me thinking, why do I even really care? The grocery store isn't the most important thing going on in my life, and I guess the barricade makes sense. I have laundry to do, I want to go to the gym today, my cat needs a stable father figure who will be present in his life. I should be focusing on more important things. But what if the grocery store is the most important thing in my life? Inside the four walls of a Safeway, my spending habits are dictated by the seemingly arbitrary prices that they set. My body's health relies on the food within. Diet can affect mood, it can affect gut health, it can affect gains. Wink wink. Hell, the very place that the store is located can affect people's everyday lives and commutes. If an alien species were watching us from above, they would probably think that we are gathering in droves to worship our car gods at this strange church called Walmart. Grocery stores are one of the main pillars of society that everyone needs at this point. Since the first self-serve Piggly Wiggly was opened in 1916, they've become as essential to the public as your local hospital, or post office, or dispensary. We depend on the security of having a local, low-price source of food that's easy to get to. Inside these stores, the quality of the food can greatly influence our lives through our diet. Getting good quality food can mean the difference between being unhealthy, maybe even obese, and being healthy and living a longer lifespan, which you're going to want if you want to cop the Epstein Fortnite skin when it drops. But getting to the local Albertsons, Safeway, Hagen, Acme, Vons, Jewel, Osco can be quite a journey for some people, mostly those who don't have cars, right? Yes, food delivery exists, but it's more expensive and it comes with its own set of problems, like Klarna. Even if going to the grocery store is no problem for you, it can still be an exhausting experience. There's the confusing store layout, the amount of time the entire process takes, and of course the last minute self-hatred that you feel because you forgot to bring reusable bags for the 300th time. But we do it all anyways because grocery stores have everything we need, and a lot of people love their grocery stores. We just have no say in how any of it is run. Zoning laws enacted by local governments decide where grocery stores can even exist. Some neighborhoods get lots of stores while others are food deserts. In many places, zoning for grocery stores or even neighborhood markets isn't allowed to be mixed with residential zoning. I mean, I get it. Why would we want to ruin our perfectly trimmed vivarium-like suburbs with a chopped-ass corner market? That would be disgusting. In some places, efforts have been made to change zoning laws in places that have long needed it. In Arlington, Virginia, they rezoned areas around all of their metro stations to allow for dense mixed-use development. There's housing, offices, restaurants, retail, all within walking distance of these metro stations that are all connected. But other places have been a little slow to catch on. Another place where there's a little bit of a fight is Jefferson County, Colorado, where they're still dealing with the effects of a pre-Civil Rights Act zoning environment. Up until the 1950s, it was legally allowed to zone based on race. I would say it's very mask-off to segregate based on race, but it was like early 1900s America, of course they were racist. Since black and brown neighborhoods have historically been denied rights to mixed-use zoning, it screws over anybody who lives in these areas now who can't afford transportation to the grocery store. That might be across town. Where the grocery stores are isn't the only thing policy can affect. Taxes affect the final price we pay at checkout. State and local agricultural policy shapes what farmers can grow and how food gets distributed. Local infrastructure and the maintenance budget for it also plays a role in getting food to the grocery store, which can keep costs down. So government policies can play a big part in the price we pay at the register. Of course, they aren't responsible for the entire price. Buying 4 mini brands balls and a 12-pack of Corona, that's on me. But in theory, the government is ran by the people, so the public's best interests should be at the heart of every decision that's made, right? Well, you'd think, but grocery companies are really powerful. And politicians have this habit of not listening to the public and instead listening to lobbyists who have a certain je ne sais quoi. The qua is money. Money is the qua. But beyond that, the government's hands are tied when companies decide to do company things, like close an important neighborhood grocery store just because it doesn't make enough money. Maybe better policy could have stopped the closing of that store at some point, but it's the company that makes the purely financial decision to close that store's doors. So back inside the grocery store, the placement of aisles and departments may seem random at first, but they're not. It's a curated experience that was designed in a lab. Decades of consumer spending data and research on psychological shopping habits have given us the grocery store that we know today. Essentials like milk are placed in the back of the store, so we're more likely to impulse buy on the way to get them. They market to our senses with different smells and visual displays, everything tailored to make you spend more. Because these companies are just trying to make money, processed foods fill up most of the shelves because it's cheaper to produce, therefore they make a higher profit. These profits are then passed on to the consumer in the form of coronary artery disease. There's one more important way that grocery stores shape our community, and that's through the workforce. Grocery chains are huge employers, in rural areas especially. Sometimes they're the largest employer. I imagine this has made for some awkward moments out there for the people who have gotten fired or quit but had to go back to shop the next day. That's rough. The environment grocery store employees work in can vary a lot, from Costco's very happy and high-paid vibes to Safeway's the general manager is a tyrant and possibly also a serial killer type vibes. A toxic workplace environment can have ripple effects on the community that the workers live in. These companies should be treated to a higher standard when it comes to employee well-being, but God knows if it affects profit negatively, they won't even try. There are grocery worker unions that have been a big win in the struggle to democratize the workplace for them and get higher wages, but wages are still low. Even though Kroger and Albertsons funneled $9.5 billion last year into stock buybacks that could have been spent making employees' lives better. Union busting is also popular amongst the chains. I mean, I love my Dolmas from Trader Joe's, but damn do they love illegally crushing all hope of a unified workforce. According to the Economic Policy Institute, wholesome little small bean Trader Joe's has disciplined employees wearing union insignia, unlawfully discharged an employee, threatened worse wages and working conditions if workers unionized, provided less favorable retirement benefits to unionized employees, interrogated employees about union activities, held unlawful captive audience meetings, and provided false and misleading information about the union nationwide through its internal employee website. And just to go back for a second, what the hell does unlawfully discharge an employee mean? Mr. Joe, I am concerned, and your Hawaiian shirts cannot distract me from this. So grocery stores can have a huge effect on the people that interact with them, which is pretty much everyone, but they have failed us. Even with their position within society as a must-need cornerstone for any neighborhood, they always choose profit over people. Inflation gets passed down to consumers, food that is just diabetes in disguise is shoved in consumers' faces for the sake of profit, and the employees who work for them will either stay in line or face firing. It's about the bottom line, ultimately. We're going to do what we want, because where else are you going to get food? The farmer's market? Enjoy paying $32.99 for a lavender cinnamon huckleberry jam. Last year in Tacoma, Washington, Kroger closed a staple Fred Meyer store in the South Tacoma area. This was part of a bigger shutdown of 60 total stores throughout 16 different states. Kroger stated the closure is part of a larger company-wide decision to run more efficiently and ensure the long-term health of our business. The closure was a shock to the community. The parking lots nearby were often full, and Kroger had allegedly invested money into it recently. Of course, people assumed that the rampant retail theft was what ultimately led to the stores closing. And yeah, it was bad. It's a sad sign of the times. I mean, it's a literal recession indicator. But if you believe the economy is cooked because of wealth inequality like I do, it just seems really ironic to close a poor-performing store because of retail theft when the executives are probably spending the day picking which carpet they want in their yacht for their upcoming Italy trip. They're closing stores in underperforming areas not because they need to tighten their belts or because the company is struggling, but because the top wants to make more money. That's the strategy that they were implementing in Tacoma when they were talking about making their business more efficient. Today the area is looking pretty rough. All the windows are boarded up and there's nobody in the parking lot except for a lone security officer who is probably wondering why I was taking video of the entire building. Giant chains currently dominate the American retail landscape, and that will continue as long as our cities allow them favorable zoning. Chains like Kroger's and Albertsons are so successful right now because of economies of scale. Huge companies are able to order millions of products at a time, allowing bigger wholesale discounts. Really, at this point, they are as American as apple pie or union busting. So they aren't going anywhere. And shoplifting will always continue. Pretty sure shoplifting was invented before actual shops, and it was just called stealing. So what's the solution? Do we go back to the days before the first Piggly Wiggly and take away the self-serve portion of the grocery store? I mean, that's kind of what's already happening with the fact that you need an employee to get something from behind the cabinet for a lot of items. Maybe we should put these big metal barriers in the front so shoplifters can't grab and go as easily. Maybe we could get in cahoots with the local police department and station a cop outside the front door 24/7 and just waste a bunch of taxpayer dollars? Or maybe we could just be kinder, as in implementing a universal basic income or universal healthcare, or at the very least, stop beating down union workers like it's the 1800s. I mean, this could be a whole video in and of itself, but if we spent less money on our military and spent it more on social safety nets, I almost guarantee that the homelessness epidemic will lessen, drug abuse will lessen, and the economy will be better off for it. It's important to analyze how a seemingly face value problem that's in front of you might be the symptom of a much larger hidden system. This way, if you want to make a change, and I definitely encourage you to try to, you know exactly where to attack. That's what I'm trying to do with this video, and I would love to turn this into a series where I analyze some of the hidden systems around us, so let me know if you liked it. Thank you for watching my video. Can't lie, I'm a little proud of this one. Feel like I'm getting a little bit better. Progress. And subscribe if I said anything that made you hee hee ha ha, or maybe had a good think. Remember to like and comment also. It helps me out and lets me know if I'm going in the right direction content-wise. I want to make these videos very me, but I also want to know what would be interesting to dive into next. I'm sending out a 437 hertz abundance and happiness wavelength that will pierce your chakra and make you have a good day. You're welcome. You'll feel that in about 15 minutes. Computer firewall.